I'm going to be showing you how to turn 80% of your roofing leads into booked scheduled inspections on your sales team's calendar. Okay, most roofing companies that I've talked to in the past, and just from experience running ads and making these same mistakes ourselves for our clients, they book at around 20%, which means 80% of your leads, 80% of the ad spend that you're spending, or whatever it is, maybe you're buying shared leads as well, that you're spending on leads are just amounting to nothing, right? Because if you don't have an inspection, you can't make a sale. Okay. So you need to get the inspection scheduled. That's the next step here. And a lot of people, they will just tank that 80% and take that 80% hit of them ghosting, even 60%, even 50%. You could get your booking rate to 70 and 80%, which we do in a lot of cases for our clients. Okay. And there's three critical reasons as to why this happens. Okay. And I'm going to show you and break this down for you in this video on how to fix it. So by the end of this video, you can hopefully turn that 20% booking rate into a 60 or an 80% booking rate. If you don't already know who I am, I'm Cole. I'm one of the co-founders of NCT Media. We're basically a company that helps roofers generate high quality inspections for their business. We take care of everything for them. We do, the calling. We have a whole inbound call team. We have, world-class media buyers that generate the leads for our clients and then send them off to the call team, book them, and we literally do everything that I'm saying in these videos to generate phenomenal results. You could check out our channel, our website, etc. You'll see all the types of results that we're getting for our clients. Yeah, other than that, let's just move on. What changes when you master your lead to booking rate? You get predictable revenue, right? You don't have to rely on door knocking or other sources just to stay profitable, right? Higher close rates, quality inspections lead to higher conversion rates and bigger project values, um, and transform sporadic lead flow into consistent appointment setting machine, right? It all comes down to more profit, more revenue, more consistency at the end of the day, okay? Because when you're leaving 80% of leads is just useless, then you're missing out on a big portion of that pie that you already have, right? And you can just do these simple little tweaks and fix those issues, okay? So I'm going to break that down. The very first issue is the way that you generate the leads, right? So there's a lot of different ways I see people generate leads. I see them running to a website where they just ask like a simple, quote request form where, they're just asking for a name and they're asking for a phone and an email and then just like maybe like their address or whatever, right? Simple stuff like that. Or maybe they're running a lead form with a similar setup. Maybe you're even asking a couple questions on a lead form, right? All of those are wrong, right? Some of our clients, we do run these methods for because it tends to generate a large number of volume, but the quality is really low. We're wasting a lot of time. Clients waste some time in some cases. So it's not the best way to generate leads. Okay, so here's what I would implement. And we have this implemented in literally 95 plus percent of our campaigns because it is a proven method right here. Okay. First, I would have a multi-question landing page. I'm talking like 8 questions, maybe six on the low end, even higher on the high end. That's essential, right? When you take them off to a landing page, they are more likely to trust you a little bit more, be more interested, right? When you're just on that Facebook form, you have all the information just easily auto-filling. A lot of people, they'll just go through those forms real quick, fill it out in 2 seconds, done, move on. A landing page, they have to kind of go out of their way and take like a good 30 to 60 seconds to actually, sit down, answer those questions, fill out their information, etc. So landing page leads are much higher intent than regular lead form leads or just like you running them to a landing page and asking them their, just their basic information, right? Ask them questions about their urgency, the timeline of the project, their budget range, how they want to pay, things like that, their house, what home type they have, etc. Okay. Secondly, this one now, I want to preface this first before I say this, but you do not want to do this unless you are getting a very high bad number rate because this will increase your lead costs. Okay. But if you're getting reports from your call team or your sales team, whatever you're doing to call leads, if you're getting reports that a bunch of the people that they're calling are just going straight to voicemail, even when they double dial, or it's just a bad number, the number's not in service, whatever it is, then you want to run this, okay? You want to run this step. And we do this in some cases where, we're getting those reports for our call team and we're just getting bad information, fake information, whatever it is. You might be getting funnel hacked by some people, by some other roofers or some other, roofing agencies, whatever it is. If you add this step, it's going to limit that pretty heavily and fix that issue. But you are very likely to see an increase in lead costs because they're going to have to go out of their way to get a verification message and then put that in, enter the numbers into the website, right? So that's really the only downside there. But I know Go High Level has these capabilities. Some other forms have these capabilities as well. It's pretty common across most platforms that have surveys. Okay. Conditional logic routing. Route just browsing leads differently than urgent repair leads. Okay. So basically this goes with the first one is you could disqualify people based on their answer. I wouldn't disqualify people based on like urgency necessarily, but you would disqualify them on certain things, like if they're an apartment or if they're whatever. You don't want the Facebook algorithm on your ad account to be optimizing for people that are not qualified, right? Or people that you don't even want to work with, right? You want to optimize for the people that you could close at a very high rate. Okay. So example is if you notice, people that click, I want a new roof in 3 months are closing at a third or half the rate of all the other options, then you should probably disqualify them. Or you should at the very least not have the pixel fire. So the pixel is what's on your landing page that tells Facebook this guy's a lead, right? And it just feeds that to Facebook, and then the Facebook algorithm will optimize for more of those guys, right? So you want to route those guys to not have Facebook optimized for those people. Maybe you call them because they could still, be closable, and you could still, close them 3 months down the line when they will need a new roof. But you don't want Facebook to get more of those people, right? You want Facebook to get people that are more urgent, want repairs sooner, etc. Okay, so that's something that you could do. There's other questions that you could obviously do that with. That's just my first example. Email verification, same thing with the phone verification. This is the last thing I would do if you're struggling with intent. I would rather add other questions and things because again, this is even more friction than the phone verification. Because a lot of times the phone verification, if they're on an iPhone, they could just tap that little button and it just fills it out automatically. But email verification doesn't have that capability. You have to go open your email, find the email, enter the numbers in manually. Just a lot of steps, and it's something you can do to add friction, especially if you need those emails to be verified. But this is kind of the last thing I would do. We've never even done this, to be honest. Like we've never needed to do this. Everything else typically works, but I do hear of people doing this in certain cases. Okay, and it definitely is helpful for adding friction, and that's just if you're really struggling with intent issue on your ads. Okay, so yeah, I mean that's pretty much it for that step. Step two, this is the second most common issue, is having a 60+ second speed to lead, right? Which is just how quickly you contact the lead over phone. I'm talking, not even text, over phone is destroying your booking rate. Okay, this is one of the biggest things here. This is the fundamentals and the foundation. Some of you might have this in place, some of you may not, but this is the foundation of everything. Okay, this right here is super crucial, though. Super crucial. Once you have that foundation in place, if you're still struggling with those issues, this is a big reason why a lot of people have low booking rates. Okay, but right here, this is data that we've gathered, okay, of speed to lead and how it affects booking rates. So you can see here, we have up to 80% booking rates with 60 seconds. And this is including, this is not purely phone call. Let me like preface that. That's just overall booking rate. This includes everything else that I'm going to talk about. This includes, people booking on a calendar, booking through text, everything. But it's just to show how impactful it is contacting your leads in under 60 seconds. 5+ minutes, we see 50% or lower, 30 minutes, 20% or lower, and next day, 5% or lower. So this is just like data. And I also saw a Alex Hormozy video of him talking about speed to lead as well the other day. And it's just to show how crucial it is. I think he said like your business will 391% increase if you call your leads in under 60 seconds. I assume he means if right now you're calling your leads in over like 5 minutes or 10 minutes or something, then that's what would occur. But this is super huge, right? Because you can by increasing your booking rate, you instantly increase the amount of volume that your sales team gets. So you instantly increase how many sales you're going to get. It will literally linearly increase your business's revenue by how much you're increasing your booking rate, right? Because you increase your volume by that much as well. So Crucial, very, very, very crucial to call in under 60 seconds. Before I get into step three, I want to kind of tell you what we have set up in order to achieve this, okay? And we're really, granular and detailed about this specific KPI. So, first things first, have dedicated callers or salespeople to calling leads. They shouldn't be doing closing. They shouldn't be showing up to homes. They shouldn't be doing inspections. They should only be dialing leads. Because what happens when you have guys going to an inspection, door knocking, and they get a lead notification? They're in between a conversation. They have things going on. They might not have service if they're out door knocking, whatever it is. They are not able to call the lead for whatever reason, right? If you have somebody on shift, and I recommend having at least like 12 to 16 hours a day covered for calling leads with multiple callers. Obviously, you don't want one person working 16 hours a day. You could have multiple taking different shifts. I recommend that first, having 16 hours a day covered. Secondly, having multiple people on each shift, right? Because, for example, let's say you have a lead that comes in, right? And it depends what scale you're at. But if you have a lead that comes in and your first caller on shift dials it, and you don't have another caller, what happens when another lead comes in while they're on the phone? That lead's probably not going to get dialed for another 5 minutes, right? Which is going to make your speed to lead worse. But if you have two callers, the chances of both them being on the phone simultaneously is much, much lower. So you're much more likely to have a quick speed to lead. So that's another thing. Another thing on top of that with call team structure is incentivize them. Incentivize them for booking rate, incentivize them for speed to lead, incentivize them in some sort of way. Give them a bonus. Maybe that's their pay structure. However you want to do it. If you incentivize them for that and punish them when they don't, you're going to have very, very good speed to lead and therefore very, very good booking rates. Okay. That's pretty much it with speed to lead that I have to go over because it's just mainly with the call team. There's some more granular stuff that I'll say real quick. Verify that the second the lead comes in, your team is getting notified that very second as well. We use softwares like Zapier, and I checked it manually when the lead was coming in and when our call team was getting notified, and there was oftentimes a 3 to 10 minute delay. So what is my speed to lead going to be? Probably at the very lowest 3 minutes, and at the very highest like 10 to 12 minutes, right? In some cases, I saw like 30-minute delays. So I switched. I switched to just firing it straight from the CRM on Go High Level, and I noticed there is less than a minute delay, less than 30-second delay in most cases. Okay, so there you want to make sure your automation doesn't have any delay. That's kind of a more granular approach, but that isn't as important as the other stuff. But it's obviously important that you have the right system set up around that as well. I don't think I have anything else for speed to lead. But if you have all those things in place, you are going to have a very good speed to lead, and you are going to therefore have a good booking rate, at least on your call team end of things. Step three, multi-channel booking approach. The third mistake is assuming all leads want to be contacted the same way. Different personality types respond to different approaches. So, for example, me personally, I don't respond well to phone calls. I'm not the type of guy I'm not a very talkative person. I respond better to things like text or even better just booking on a landing page, right? Because I'm not trying to answer the phone, especially if I don't know the number. I have zero experience with the company. I'm probably not, most of the stuff I fill out, I'm not in super high need of. So I'm not really trying to talk to somebody on the phone for 5 to 10 minutes that I don't even know. I'm just not that type of guy, right? So that's a personality type right there, where if you only had phone calls, and especially the younger generation, right? Probably people sub 30, sub 35, they're going to be more and more like I am. And people older, they'll be more open to answering the phone and talking to people because that's just the way older people typically are and the older generation typically is. But if if you have a good amount of people that are like me and you're only calling them, what's going to happen? You're going to be missing out on whatever percentage it is. It depends on your market, depends on other variables, but it might be 20, might be 50% of your leads that are coming in are people that don't want to pick up the phone and talk to you. Okay. That's just how it is for some people, right? So you're missing out on that piece of the pie there. So what you want to do is you want to have these three options. There's not really any other options other than these three. But most leads, meet the leads where they are, right? Phone callers, immediate call attempt for people who prefer human interaction and want to ask questions directly. A lot of times, if you have a self-looking page, right? So they fill out their form, They go to your calendar page. A lot of times, these sorts of people, they won't even book on your calendar page. Maybe they're bad with tech and they don't know what's going on, or they're just like, oh, I want to talk to somebody. I don't want to book something before I talk to them, right? A lot of people are like that. I know people personally that in my family that are like that. Okay. So you need this in place for those types of people. These two people usually fall in a similar category, but there's kind of an overlap here, right? Like people that maybe want to ask some questions first, but they don't want to call on the phone, right? Right? They might want to text you and talk to you over text and just do a little quick text talk, build some trust over text, and then book, right? So you need to have text and you need to have follow up text. You could have a calendar link. I actually recommend to not. I'd recommend having either an AI bot or a human saying like, "Are you available for 8 p.m. tomorrow?" Or just like giving them times or asking them what time they could do rather than having them go to a calendar page. There's more of a drop off when you do that, but calendar pages do work. We do send calendar links like 8 days, 10 days, into our text follow up, but I digress. And lastly, self schedulers, right? If I'm super interested in something and I know I'm going to get it, or I know I'm very likely to get it, I am going to just see the calendar, going to book, and then I'm going to show up at the appointment. That's just the way I am in most cases. If I know, I need this, right? I don't really want to talk, until the closing process happens. I don't really want to text until the closing process happens. I just want to book and then I'll show up and then I'll talk to you when, I know I could actually get that thing and, I have to attend that thing, right? I don't want to waste my time or talk to anybody before that. Okay. That's just the type of person that I am, right? So having a self scheduler in place for those types of people is very important too, where they're just like, I know I need a new roof. This company looks good. I'm going to go with this company. They get that idea off your landing page and your ads and your reviews or whatever, right? And they just don't really care to do anything else. Have that calendar page in place so they could actually book and you could show up. And a lot of people, they believe, if I don't talk to them beforehand, they're gonna no show, which it's true in some cases. I will be honest. We do attempt a lot to get in contact with those people just to make sure they're real and they want to, they want an appointment, etc. But we see very similar show rate numbers and very similar qualification numbers with self schedules and people that book on the phone or book on text. It's almost identical in most cases. Okay. So I wouldn't be too concerned with that because it's just different people book in different ways. Right. And if they end up booking, they have similar levels of interest overall. Okay. And just a little, um, and just a little nugget here, the self schedulers, you should probably email and text them so they get the same sort of answers and information that the people on the phone do. Okay. And same with text responders. Like you want to be feeding these guys information in a way that they want to consume it, right? So people that want to talk, they want to consume that information over the phone. People that, book, they want to probably consume that information via a video or an email, right? Same with the text people. They probably want to consume information either over text or over email and over, a video, right? So you want to also provide them information in a similar way that they were getting on the phone to, their choice of consumability, right? And then you'll notice pretty much identical intent across the board. Okay. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. Those are every single different possible ways that you can increase your booking rate. There's little things that you could do here and there, but these are the core, most important things by far. It's unmatched. And we've worked with hundreds of different home service, especially roofing companies, and we've seen the same thing across the board. Okay. So you want to implement high intent forms, you want to set up an instant response system, and you want to deploy multiple channels of contacting to meet the leads where they're at. Okay. So stop losing 80% of your leads due to just making these stupid, simple, lazy mistakes. And instead, book these leads at 80%, 4x your business overnight. Boom, easy, done. Okay. If you found this helpful, I'd recommend you check out some other videos on our channel and subscribe. Stay tuned for future videos. Peace.